And the second thing is that supposedly I went on a rant, and I barely was audible.
20 years have passed, yet the story of Billy Bob Thornton and Angelina Jolie still refuses to fade. Their marriage wasn't just passionate, it was volatile, mythologized, and misunderstood. For decades, Billy hid behind jokes, silence, and the kind of emotional armor that keeps old wounds buried. But time has a way of softening even the hardest truths. And now, for the first time, he finally reveals what really happened behind the whirlwind romance the world could never stop talking about. No scandals, no secrets and vials, just the painful honesty he once ran from. And what Billy admits about their divorce is nothing like what people thought. Before Angelina, the man who already feared love. Before Angelina Jolie ever entered his orbit, Billy Bob Thornton was already a man dragging decades of emotional debris behind him. 4 marriages, 4 endings, 4 chapters that left him increasingly convinced he wasn't built for love. Or worse, that love simply wasn't built for him. His first marriage to Melissa Lee Gatlin collapsed under insecurity, infidelity, and the pressure of trying to survive in Hollywood while barely holding himself together. His second, a brief union with Tony Lawrence, suffocated under the weight of instability and the relentless grind of ambition without success. His third marriage to Cinda Williams, built on creative chemistry instead of compatibility, burned out as quickly as it ignited. And the fourth, his turbulent marriage with Petra Dawn, left behind bitterness, accusations, and emotional rubble that Billy still carried years later. By the late 90s, he was a man who joked about hiding in the Sunset Marquis Hotel after every divorce. But beneath the humor was a truth that never left him. He feared intimacy, feared failure, feared himself. So, when Angelina Jolie walked into his life, Billy wasn't a blank slate. He was a fractured one. When Angelina arrived, the collision no one expected. The moment Angelina Jolie stepped onto the set of Pushing Tin in 1999, something shifted. The crew felt it. Billy felt it, a 44-year-old man, worn down by life and engaged to Laura Dern, suddenly collided with a 24-year-old force of nature. Fearless, intense, unpredictable, magnetic in a way that could make even the most grounded person lose their balance. Their chemistry didn't build slowly, it detonated instantly. People on set later said the air changed when they stood next to each other, that conversations got quieter, that even the lights felt warmer. But the problem was obvious. Billy wasn't free. While Laura Dern was away filming, believing she was returning home to the man she loved, Billy was spiraling into something deeply emotional, deeply impulsive, and impossible to stop. The day he ran off to Las Vegas and married Angelina without a word to Laura became one of Hollywood's coldest breakup stories. Laura said, "I left to work on a movie, and while I was away, my boyfriend got married. I never heard from him again." The brutality of that moment cast a shadow over Billy and Angelina's relationship from the very beginning. Inside the marriage, a love too loud for the world. Once they were together, Billy and Angelina didn't love quietly. They loved like two storms colliding. They were inseparable. They praised each other endlessly, held each other constantly, and lived as if the world outside their connection didn't exist. Angelina would visit him on sets just to sit next to him. He said he couldn't be without her for more than a few hours. Their passion was volcanic, beautiful from afar, blinding up close. The public obsession only fueled the fire. The media branded them Hollywood's strangest couple. But the truth is that most of the chaos came from the outside, not from within. Even the infamous blood necklaces were grossly exaggerated, just small lockets with tiny pricks of blood, a symbolic gesture blown into a grotesque myth about vials and buckets. Billy later said. It was so small, but by the time the press got it, it sounded like we were wearing buckets of blood. Their love wasn't monstrous. It was vulnerable, misunderstood, but intensity that fierce rarely survives unscarred. The turning point, two lives moving at different speeds. By 2001, their relationship was still passionate, but reality had begun to pull at the edges. Angelina's life was expanding at an unimaginable pace. She won an Oscar, became one of Hollywood's most sought-after actresses, and began traveling overseas for humanitarian missions that would redefine her public identity. She was evolving, quickly, fearlessly, globally. Billy wasn't, at his core. He was still the man shaped by fear, anxiety, and the need for emotional safety. A man who preferred small rooms to red carpets, quiet corners to flashing cameras, comfort to chaos. He admitted openly that he suffered from agoraphobia. He hated crowds. Fame drained him. Pressure suffocated him. And suddenly he was married to the most photographed woman in the world. Their difference wasn't just lifestyle, it was existential. Her lifestyle is global, and mine is agoraphobic, Billy later said. Not angry, not resentful, just honest. Angelina came alive in the places Billy felt himself disappearing. When Angelina became a mother, the shift neither could escape. In March 2002, Angelina adopted her first child, Maddox. Motherhood didn't just change her, it transformed her instantly. Her priorities shifted overnight. Her world expanded again, faster than Billy could follow. Billy supported the process, even traveled to Cambodia with her. But once they returned home, the emotional gap grew wider. Billy wasn't afraid of children. He already had several. But he was afraid of losing himself, afraid of the speed at which life was moving, afraid of becoming insignificant. To Angelina, becoming a parent felt natural. To Billy, it felt overwhelming. It wasn't the child. It was the timing, the mismatch between who he was and who she was becoming. Soon, they began living emotionally separate lives under the same roof. Angelina immersed herself in activism, motherhood, and global engagement. Billy retreated into music, writing, and the quiet routine he understood. Their marriage wasn't exploding. It was dissolving. The silent collapse. A love too different to survive. By late 2002, the distance between them had grown so quietly that even friends didn't fully understand what was happening. They didn't fight. They didn't betray each other. They simply drifted into different worlds. By the time the divorce was finalized in 2003, the public was still desperately trying to invent a scandal large enough to explain what went wrong. But the truth, the one Billy finally revealed 2 decades later, was painfully simple. We just had different lifestyles. 5 words that held the weight of a marriage the world couldn't stop dissecting. Angelina needed a partner who could stand beside her on global stages. Billy needed someone who could sit quietly beside him in stillness. She was movement. He was fear of movement. She was expansion. He was retreat. They weren't broken. They were incompatible in a way neither love nor passion could fix. After the divorce, the peace Billy finally found, when the marriage ended, Angelina moved into a life that would turn her into a global icon. 6 children, humanitarian missions, directing, red carpets, world attention. Billy faded from the spotlight, and for the first time, it felt right. He devoted himself to music, to writing, to projects that didn't demand the glare of fame. And then he met Connie Angland, quiet, grounded, the opposite of the whirlwind he once lived through. She didn't want the spotlight. She didn't need chaos. She simply offered peace. Billy said, "She's my speed," a sentence that revealed more about his heart than any headline ever did. They married in 2014, and built the life he had always wanted but never believed he deserved. A small world, a calm world, a world where he didn't have to run. Reflecting on Angelina. Billy speaks only with warmth. Angie is still a friend of mine, a wonderful person. No bitterness, no regret, just gratitude for a love that changed him, even if it couldn't stay. 2 decades later, Billy Bob Thornton no longer hides from the story that once shadowed him. Time has softened the sharp edges, allowing him to finally look back with clarity instead of shame, tenderness instead of fear. He doesn't speak of Angelina Jolie as a mistake, nor as a wildfire he wishes he'd avoided. Instead, he speaks of her as someone who entered his life at exactly the right emotional moment, just not the right practical one. Their love was real, fierce, transformative, but it was also fragile, made of 2 people shaped by opposite worlds. Billy needed stillness. Angelina needed movement. He needed quiet. She needed impact. And sometimes, love simply cannot stretch far enough to bridge that distance. What remains between them is not bitterness, but a kind of wistful gratitude. Billy found peace in a quieter life, a softer rhythm, a love that matched his footsteps instead of outrunning them. Angelina found the global purpose she was born for. They both became who they were meant to be, but not together. And that, he finally admits, is the saddest and most beautiful truth of all. Love can change your life, even when it cannot stay in it.